Our topic today is developing new research methods in the era of big data and AI. Moderating this important topic is Brandon Conover, a well-known expert in the field of solving challenges in science and technology to allow others to achieve their goals. Welcome, Brandon.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
This is such a great conversation. Theme number one, integrating big data and analytics into AI research methods. What is this about?
Well, we know that big data and AI are huge topics right now in research, both academic and commercial. And so we need to start from a common platform. So since this is our first theme, we felt it was an excellent opportunity to get to know each other and talk about these larger topics around a common platform.
Great. So let's talk about your panel, which is also known as a knowledge stream. You had a real diverse makeup of respected thought leaders. Tell us about the panel.
Yes, it is an excellent panel. We've got a mix of ages, backgrounds, nationalities. It's a really good mix of professors, corporate researchers, technologists, and authors across several domains. We've got big data experts, AI experts, and folks that are no stranger to doing complex research methodology.
So, Brandon, I see in your summary you address sort of the vastness of big data and therefore the real value of AI as a filter. Tell us about the summary. What are we going to hear today?
Yeah, absolutely. So in this theme, being our first theme, we wanted to address how are we going to integrate all of the data being generated now, or in other words, big data, for meaningful insight. So we want to create value from these data and have it support existing and future research. So several topics were actually discussed in the themes, including why should we even consider integrating big data into AI and research? What are the benefits of doing that? Are those benefits meaningful? Do they support the existing research? And what are the limitations faced by the various communities that have interest here? But finally, what we wanted to address is how do we overcome some of the near-term hurdles facing AI research methods and the big data integration?
Well, boy, we're just this is such an important topic. So let's get into key point number one, which kind of sings the praises and the need of AI, right?
Absolutely. So we didn't necessarily start with the idea that this model is worth considering, but after a couple of weeks back and forth discussion, the common feeling was yes, big data and AI research integration is absolutely worth considering. From it, we foresee very meaningful insights coming our way from medicine, material science, and even climatology research.
So in key point number two, what are the limitations of AI?
Yeah, and this was really a good question to ask because I think a vast majority of our panelists had a lot of ideas here. Because of their backgrounds and where they're working, they are, as a group, very keyed in to what are the limitations, but then also how do we overcome them? And as we really dug into it, the largest limitation, we believe, is simply accessing and manipulating all of this data that's being created. So we can develop AI algorithms that leverage large quantities of data, but then the limitation becomes, well, where do I find that data? How do I store it? Do I have enough computing power to manipulate the data? And because of that, there's some costs associated that might be accessible from larger corporations doing research as opposed to smaller universities or even individuals.
So Christopher talks a little bit about the ethics that are necessary in sort of monitoring AI. Talk about that.
Sure, and I'm glad Christopher brought that up, and we had actually a healthy side discussion about that as well. So some of the folks interested in this topic may have encountered discussions on the ethics of artificial intelligence over the past few years. It really is becoming an important topic and one that we'll explore further in a future theme. But just to summarize, the group feels that there are absolutely ethical considerations, but they're not so insurmountable that we can't create a roadmap or a pathway now to ensure that ethics are not violated in the research to come.
Can you give us any examples of the kinds of things you're worried about in terms of ethic violations?
Sure. So one of the side conversations addressed, well, there are certain AI systems already in existence that quickly advanced to the point of ignoring human controls. The example that someone used was two computer systems that were running AI algorithms on different types of language constructs and actually very quickly developed their own language, non-human created language that these computing systems created on their own. And because of that, they were no longer responsive to the human language systems that were used to interface with them. So it had to be shut down. So if you take that sort of idea and stretch it a little farther, well, what might happen if we create systems that are making real decisions, autonomous driving, or even weapons systems, for example? So the concern here is that as we develop these AI systems, we need to have a keen understanding of what are the pitfalls, the dangers, even if they seem far-fetched, to integrate those thought processes early on in the research so that we don't end up down a path that no one wants to be.
So in key point number 3, it looks like the panel overall really sees great value in integrating big data into research early. Is that right? Was this kind of a unanimous feeling?
I'd say it was at least 90%. Ian really had some good summary points for us there that is encouraging us to go farther in the discussion. I don't think anyone suggested that using big data in AI research is not worthwhile. So we look forward in future themes looking at more concrete examples, both current and future, of how this is going to occur in the years to come.
Brandon, this is such an exciting topic, and it's so interesting, and I know the panel was really enthusiastic, but tell us about 3 that really stood out for you.
So the 3 that stood out, Ian, Gerard, and Robert, were very quick to jump into the conversation, had some of the most frequent and insightful comments, and their backgrounds, I think, really lent quite a bit to the discussion. So they represent science and technology, entrepreneurship, and we look forward to having them discuss their opinions and experience in the themes to come.
I know one of the reasons we like to refer to these panels as a knowledge stream is because it keeps changing and flowing, and one idea leads to another and asks questions that we might not have thought about before. So with that in mind, what can we look forward to in our next theme number 2?
That was actually a difficult decision to make. There were several excellent side conversations within this theme. We hope to be able to explore several of them. Some examples are what companies and research groups are showing the most promise in big data AI research. We touched on one, the ethical issues. We want to dive deeper there. But what we're going to get into in theme 2 is really specifics on how to overcome some of the hurdles that researchers in this area are encountering, and that is accessing large quantities of data for testing and research, the cost of storage and computing power, and how does one become truly innovative if they can't access all the proper tools and resources to do the research. So we're going to be looking for good examples of success and what can be done across the research community to help us all collectively advance our knowledge.
That's great. Again, if you're interested in this topic and you want to follow it live, you can go to our webpage, currnt.com, and find this panel and be able to follow it live. Great job, Brandon Conover, a well-known expert in the field of solving challenges in science and technology to allow others to achieve their goals. And Brandon, I look forward to our next conversation. Thank you.
I as well. You're quite welcome.